It is carving up the context. So, as Coach Prime, Deion Sanders says, give me my theme music. On this week's edition of Carving Up the Context, we've got an interesting one. So, former NFL quarterback Cam Newton, who has his own podcast, it's called 4th and 1. He's got his own podcast now. He's got his own YouTube channel. He's got over 1 million subscribers. Shout out to Cam. But he was talking on his show about game managers at quarterback. Now, for those that are wondering, like, what's a game manager? Well, a game manager is a type of quarterback who his job is to make the necessary throws when he has to, but just don't mess the game up. Don't throw an interception that could cost you the game. He's not the type of guy Cam is going to talk about. I'll show you in this clip about game changers, guys who you need to win a championship, the guys of that status. He was talking about 4 specific guys that he deems game managers, and two of the guys that he mentioned, it rubbed me the wrong way, I must say. But before I give you my take, let's hear Cam's take.
Brock, Purdy, Tua Tagovailoa, Jared Goff, and really Dak Prescott. These are game managers. They're not difference makers.
And when you say game manager, I'm not asking you to go out and win the game. I'm just asking you not to lose.
Not to lose the game. Listen, I don't give a damn what you do. You don't have to score every time. You just don't have to throw a pick every time either. If we're going to really call a spade, a game manager is different than a game changer.
Well, he is right about that last fact. A game manager is very different from a game changer. And fact of the matter is, Cam Newton is one of the more productive quarterbacks that we've seen in the last decade plus or so. Cam Newton has an MVP on his resume. He has a Super Bowl appearance on his resume. He is probably the greatest rushing quarterback of all time. You could argue Michael Vick, Lamar Jackson, etc. But Cam's numbers simply back it up. I believe he has the most rushing touchdowns of any quarterback ever. There's the guys that have come into the league similar to Cam's kind of mold, Josh Allen in particular, big guy, mobile. And Cam Newton, listen, in his career, if you had to give me, around the time that he was in his prime, if you had to give me, hey, Bryson, pick any of the quarterbacks in the league, which one just looks like a quarterback? I'd say take Cam Newton from the Carolina Panthers. Big, strong, I mean, bigger than most quarterbacks that we're accustomed to, but big, strong, $1 million smile, good looking, productive. At one point, he had the dab, he had the signature dance move. Again, got the Panthers to the Super Bowl in that one year in 2015, was getting to the playoffs, NFC South champions. And if you had to tell me, give me a quarterback, what does a quarterback look like? I would say, give me Mr. Cam Newton. He had it all. Except for the things that a couple of the guys he mentioned, they have things that Cam never had. I think it's interesting he mentions Dak Prescott and Brock Purdy as game managers. Dak is a far more egregious one than Purdy, but nonetheless, I think both, that is a insane take. I think what's interesting is the fact that Dak Prescott and Brock Purdy, know the difference between them and Cam? They're more accurate than Cam. They are not more mobile than Cam, but mobile enough in a league with mobile quarterbacks. They are more accurate. I mentioned they're more accurate than Cam. They're more coachable than Cam. They're better leaders than Cam. Dak is awesome at the line of scrimmage. Purdy's great at anticipation throws. Cam was not great at either. And Cam's out of the league. And Cam's been out of the league for 2 years. So Brock Purdy, he's a game manager, according to Cam Newton. That's really funny. So he's just, don't screw it up, Brock. According to Pro Football Focus, the guy who's a game manager, Brock Purdy, is ranked first by Pro Football Focus in terms of passing grade. This is, by the way, this stat is on 20 throws of 20 or more yards down the field. Here's where Brock Purdy ranks according to Pro Football Focus. He has a passing grade of 99.2. That ranks first in the NFL. He has a passer rating 138.5, second in the NFL. He is tied for fourth in completions with 27. He's tied for first in touchdowns with 9 and has the best completion percentage, again, on throws of more than 20 yards down the field of 65.8%. A game manager, in the simplest terms, again, as Cam mentioned, as I mentioned before, Cam's take right there that you heard, is a don't mess it up guy. You can make somewhat of a case that is Tua and that is Jared Goff. I'm higher on Goff the most, but I would understand that take by anybody. It is insanity, it is ludicrous, and it is simply not watching the games, the tape, or looking at the advanced stats to say that Brock Purdy is that. And Dak Prescott, far more egregious. What's interesting, too, If you think about Dak Prescott and Cam Newton, has Dak reached the highs that Cam has? No, he hasn't. Although I'd argue this season he's in the midst of doing just that. He's about to win league MVP, just like Cam did in 2015. He's not going to go 15-1, or in this case, 16-1 or 15-2. He's not going to do that, but he has the Cowboys in the best position they've ever been into in a Super Bowl since the 90s. So you have that component on there. But Dak has not reached the emotional and statistical and I don't know, spiritual high, so to speak, at least at the quarterback position, as Cam has. He's certainly not reached the lows that Cam has, and that matters. Let's look, because this is very interesting. I looked at this earlier today. I'm like, let's look at Cam Newton's stats in his entire career, which appears to be over, and compare it to Dak's stats. The game manager, Dak Prescott. Let's check their stats. Oh, wait. Cam Newton played basically 30 plus games more than Dak Prescott has played, and Dak only has 4 fewer wins. Dak has a significantly better completion percentage than Cam. He has significantly more pass yards per game than Cam. He has just as many touchdowns as Cam with 52 less interceptions than Cam. He has a far better passer rating than Cam, and their playoff records, I mean, tomato, tomato. Dak 2-4, Cam 3-4. Might as well be identical. Dak's better than Cam. From start to finish. I thought this was interesting as well. Game manager, Cam Newton is the guy to tell us who's a difference maker. Did you know that Cam Newton never, you can check it out yourself, had back-to-back seasons of winning seasons. Now, he had 3 straight years of making the playoffs, but 2013 winning season, 2014 they went 7-8-1 and won a terrible NFC South. Sounds very familiar to today, by the way. The NFC South is it's in the dumps right now, kind of like it was in 2014. And then 2015, he broke through. He got to the Panthers to the Super Bowl. He was amazing. He was the MVP, and frankly, deservedly so. But, yikes. Since that Super Bowl appearance, Cam Newton, the guy who's definitely not a game manager, went 23-37 after his MVP year, and in his final year in the league, the last time we saw Cam Newton, he was cut by the Patriots in favor of Mac Jones. And when signed by the Carolina Panthers, re-signed, I should say, by the Carolina Panthers later that year, he was benched for P.J. Walker. But Dak's not a difference maker. Brock Purdy is not a difference maker. They are not the difference between winning games and losing games. People talk about the Panthers being in this compromised position that they're in now, where they're not just irrelevant, they are easily the worst team in the league. Were they much better with Cam? Well, they were better with Cam. They were, though, irrelevant, though. 2016 missed the playoffs. 2017, they got back to the playoffs and lost to the Saints. 2018, they collapsed at the end of the season. 2019, Cam got hurt early on. 2020, he was with the Patriots. They went 7-9. In 2021, they cut him, and then he went to the Panthers and went 0-5. Don't lose the game, he says. Well, Cam, in the middle of his, I guess you could say, athletic prime, because we kind of think of the prime years for athletes around like 28, 29 years old to around 33, 34 years old. It's like a 4 or 5 year stretch. So Brock Purdy's a game manager, and Dak Prescott's a game manager. You know what I think Cam sees? He sees a guy in Dak who has very good tangibles and amazing intangibles. And the same can be said about Brock Purdy, by the way. He sees those guys. He sees the mold for quarterbacks today, and he knows he's not it. Guys like Joe Flacco are still playing in the NFL and, frankly, playing well. Brian Hoyer is playing in the NFL, or played in the NFL this year. Didn't play well, but he's still in the NFL. Older backup quarterbacks still kicking. Aaron Rodgers still in the NFL. We are actually having questions about whether or not Aaron Rodgers can come back from a blown Achilles at age 39. Because those guys, by and large, were accurate, good team guys. Aaron, not so much, but Aaron's talent is some of the greatest we've ever seen in the history of the sport. And Cam's is not. So Dak, by and large, Give me Dax Greer, give me Cam Greer. I'll take Dax. Thanks so much for watching the show on YouTube, and be sure to go click that big red subscribe button and check out the other clips and full shows from Carving It Up Live, as well as our other incredible content creators here on the Grid Network.